our castle walls. Fast forward to the siren in the distance, getting closer by the minute. Will you stand and answer to the call? Burn like a fire, willful and wild. This is the night that you were made for. Don't close your eyes, safer to stare into the sun than to turn away from what you could become. This was once a perfect symphony, soft and steady like a heartbeat. But these notes turn dissonant and sour, getting violently devoured. So will you stand or let the curtain fall? Burn like a fire, willful and wild. This is the night that you were made for. Don't close your eyes, safer to stare into the sun than to turn away from what you could become. The time has come to stand and fight for what you believe, for what you believe. The dark will fall and we will rise. Like a fire, willful and wild. This is the night you were made for. Burn like a fire. This is the night that you were made for. Don't close your eyes, safer to stare into the sun than to turn away from what you could be. The time has come to stand and fight, deconstruct, reignite. Safer to stare into the sun than to turn away from what you could become.
Live from iRacing's virtual Bristol Motor Speedway, we say good evening, sim racing fans, and welcome to RaceSpotTV's coverage of the 2023 Full Throttle Real Sim Racing Cup Series playoffs. Well, the round of 16 comes to an end tonight, and we're happy that you're joining us on this Monday evening with our producer downstairs, Joshua Lee, myself, Evan Pasoko, joined by Dylan DeCoyle and Austin Coop in the RaceSpotTV broadcast booth tonight. And gentlemen, 2 down, 1 to go. So far, Dylan, the story of the round of 16 has been everybody but the playoff cars. Kevin King has played spoiler now 2 weeks in a row, and it looks like he's going to try to do it again here tonight. What that means, though, is nobody's locked in to this point. Also means no one's eliminated. So there's 16 drivers coming into tonight looking to be in the top 12 by the time this race is done.
Yeah, I think we were all talking about the fact that Kevin King said last week he probably wouldn't be here at Bristol. We were talking about a pre-race, and then with a minute to go, Kevin just shows up like The Undertaker. He's here, and he is coming for the win. Not only he, but Andrew Farinas and Landon Mills has joined the session literally in the last few seconds before qualifying. So there's a lot of strong competition for these playoff drivers if they want to make it into the round of 12.
Yeah, all three of those names, non-playoff cars. That's going to be interesting to see how they mix into the fray. We take a look at the standings and the schedule. Of course, tonight, round number 23 on the year, but the last race of the round of 16. So after tonight's race, we will go from 16 to 12. We'll reset the points, and we'll continue on the road to the Full Throttle Cup at Texas Motor Speedway next week. We talk about the point standings, and Austin, I'll go to you on this one. Again, nobody out, nobody in quite yet. Now, the likes of Phillip, Johnson, Danson, Casto, they will likely be good once this race gets underway. But we're looking at those drivers below the cut line. Admittedly, it's not that tight, right? Looking at gaps of 12 points, gaps of 13, and then even more. So for Feder Place, Papadow, Schmidt, and Tucker, I think it's going to be really difficult for them to point their way in. They're going to need either a really good finish and somebody right above them, a George, a Burke, a Lariah, to have a bad night, or just to win this race, because it's close, but it's not as close as I think those drivers would hope it to be.
Agreed, Evan. And the best way to remedy your situation is to go out there and win. Now, it is a tall task. You got some big names in this race today, but you can always find strategy. And one of the best things you can do is just keep yourself in the fight the whole race. It doesn't matter if you go down a lap for some reason early on in the race. This is a long race. We got a long way to go, and as long as you keep yourself towards the front, you keep yourself on the lead lap, you can play strategy at the end of these races and still make it so that you can get yourself a win. That is the easiest, the best way to make this happen. And 9th through 12th, they're not completely out of it. They still have to run their race and still do well. They don't have to do too much. They just have to stay out of the big wrecks.
And there's, again, when we go to Texas, Talladega, Charlotte, each of these next couple of rounds will present their own unique challenges. But racing under the lights here tonight at the Bristol Motor Speedway is going to be a highlight of the year for sure. Practice is already rounded to an end. Qualifying underway now, just waiting on the final handful of drivers to lock in their times, and we will go racing for this night race here at the Bristol Motor Speedway. And Dylan, you were just at Bristol not that long ago. I mean, this racetrack is one of the most challenging in the real world, and of course here on this service as well. The margins are thin, the likelihood of chaos is high. Maybe that plays in to those drivers that Coop was just talking about below that cut line who might need something to go their way, because who knows how a Bristol race can turn out. We saw all things considered, pretty tame iRacing Bristol 500 earlier in the week here on RaceSpotTV last week, and then of course we've seen some ugly ones too. So I can't tell you. I can't look into the crystal ball and tell you what we're going to see here tonight. And maybe that uncertainty is good for some of those names.
You don't have your patented crystal
fresh
ball
out of it.
I mean, man, I guess it only works when you're talking about when cautions are coming up. But nonetheless, Bristol is exactly what you call it. It's a chaotic track. There's a lot of beautiful things about it. The last great Coliseum, how the sound just reverberates off the aluminum grandstands when you're sitting anywhere inside of it. And right now it'll be darker once we actually start to get to the racing, but you do have that sunset. The sun will be going in and out with the kind of the gaps in the grandstands as Bradley Burke sets his lap times, currently sitting in 8th place. The most interesting thing about Bristol, though, at least over the last 10-15 years, is the progressive banking. The banking up top against the wall is higher than the banking at the bottom, which is usually where people run at the beginning of the race. As the rubber gets laid down, though, the high line starts to take a big run. A lot of drivers will go there, but qualifying is done, and familiar face has gotten on pole position.
Yeah, let's go down and take a look at your Get Wet Sports starting grid. And on to pole, it is the number 94 machine of Agnel Phillip. He will bring us to the green flag tonight, and Sam Nieto will start alongside in second. Michael Araya gets P3. Cody Harris will start from 4th, with Andrew Freenosh rounding out our top 5. Tom Wetmore is on the outside of row number 3 in P6, with Matt Danson and Bradley Burke on row 4, and Brandon DePetter placed at Ross Cato inside of the top 10. They will make up row number 5. Grant Davis starts 11th, and Thomas George in the number 12 spot. Sean Castro 13th, and Steve Tucker in 14th position. Eric Stanford will find himself 15th. Ryan Dunkelberger with some work to do in P16. Michael Johnson is one of the lower playoff starting cars. He'll roll from 17th ahead of Braden Whitaker at 18th position. Ahead of playoff driver William Schmidt on the inside of row 10. He'll start 19th alongside the 20 of Manatsi Major. Sean Kayla's 21st. He's the final car to take a time at qualifying. So the provisionals go to Kevin King. No time at qualifying. He'll start 22nd. Landon Mills as well. No time in qualifying. He'll start back in 23rd. There's a lot of big names to look at there. Brandon Bowie as well. No time. He'll start 24th. Brett Punkari will roll from 25th. And the lowest of your playoff cars, Eric Papadow, will roll from the very back on the outside of number 13. He is starting tonight from P26. It's a look top to bottom at your Get Wet Sports starting grid. Well, lights are out on top of the pace car as we get set for 250 laps with 12 tickets still up for grabs into the next round of the playoffs. Field in the hands of Agado Phillip. Without a win so far this round, but he does lead the championship standings headed in to this Bristol Night Race 250. Pace car dives down and in. The 94 is in control as we say, let's go racing at Bristol. Already a lap and a half in the books, and Agado Phillip has led the opening lap of the race, but it's gone just like that. Sam Nieto, high side, new leader early as the 2-car rockets out to an advantage.
Yeah, Sam Nieto, of course, we've been really impressed with him in this round so far. It's going to be a matter of exactly what it was the last couple weeks. Can he hang on to this early momentum to his qualifying pace and turn it into race pace? His racecraft is good, a tad aggressive, but we've seen a lot of improvement in that end in the biggest points in the playoffs over the past few weeks. Really look for him to run well, at least in the beginning.
Not a lot of changes middle of the road. Again, it's Nieto up to first and Phillip down to second. Harris goes up to third. Lariah down to fourth. And then everybody else inside of the top 9 runs exactly where they started. You can look for those playoff cars. They're signified by those red windshield banners on the front of them. That's how we're going to be able to keep track of who's in and who is not a playoff car. Of course, you can always take a look at the red lettering highlights as well on the left-hand side of your screen on the leaderboard. Some side-by-side, a couple of rows back off at turn number 4. It's Matt Danson in the 38 car. He's under the 51 of Tom Wetmore, and he is through. That's a quick pass for P6.
Yeah, and what you're seeing a lot of right here is a lot of the drivers just stick to the bottom. The top side is where the speed is for sure. What you'll quickly notice is that over time, it's also going to ruin your tires long term. We saw that on Thursday night as well in the Bristol 500 race. And so if you want the spot enough, you'll go and get it. You'll just have to pay a little bit for it. And that's what Sam did. He wanted the lead really quickly. And so he got it. And then he was running the bottom. And the 2 actually at the front, they've got themselves a pretty good gap. But right now, they actually have a pretty decent gap, but right now it's taking care of your stuff and keep chugging away and see if you can get the guy in front of you, and if you can get them on the bottom side, that'd be preferred.
The biggest thing is knowing when to push and when to lay back, especially in the early goings of a long run. We hope it's a long green flag run, and Michael Lariah trying to kind of exactly what you did just say, Austin, pay a little bit for a spot against Cody Harris, but he's not making it easy right now and can't get around Harris. Ends up costing him maybe a little bit more in tire wear, but it wasn't too bad. He's going to try up into the middle groove right now, just seeing what's out there.
Oh, if he gets to the space, he was a little close there off of turn 4, but still side-by-side action here at a turn number 2. The 44 should get the spot here, and it's kind of said and done now. And you want to pick your battles, and you want to get them done with quickly.
It's going to be a big thing, is not going around and around and around in a fight. And again, finally, Lariah able to break through. That just gets him back to where he started this race. Those cars on the bottom didn't fare well. It was, of course, Nieto leapfrogging Phillip and Harris leapfrogging Lariah, using the outside to their advantage in the opening laps of the race, with the SimSpeed Shop Chevrolet back to third, Harris back to P4. And again, not a ton of movement besides that inside of your top 10. This race, again, 250 laps, could be one of the longer ones of the year, but it all depends on pace. And Dylan, one thing we've talked about extensively, I'd say over the last month or so, is, as we've gotten to the playoffs, and contrary to what you see in the NASCAR Cup Series, where you have 16 of your 36 or so cars being in the playoffs, right? A majority being non-playoff cars. Not the case here, right? The playoffs and drivers being eliminated has reduced the field size somewhat, as you see that 28 of Harris now right back to the outside of Lariah, trying to take the spot back. So a majority of the cars in the field are the playoff competitors, and the win-loss column wouldn't make you think so based on the dominance of the spoilers, but it's an interesting dynamic, and smaller car counts should lead to more green flag racing. We saw a lot of that last week. The 28 is through. He brings Andrew Freenosh with him, so Lariah just got back to that P3 spot, and he loses 3 additional spots in a lap and a half. He'll slide all the way down to P6.
Well, Agnell Phillip also made the move on Sam Nieto for the lead the exact same time that Cody Harris got by Lariah. Harris is now taking Nieto on for size. Exactly what I was concerned about. Was Nieto using a lot of his tires early on? It seems like that was the case. Is not completely clear of him. Now he is clear, and look who's trying to take that high side. Andrew Freenosh. Nieto. Oh, they're almost wrecking. And Nieto sliding it. Are they going to all save it? Yes, they do. That was some major contact, though, between Phillip and Cody Harris. And Nieto had to react, and he loses even more spots.
Wow, that was a product of a lot of things happening right now. There, you got the 94 car having an issue, and you've got a little bit of aggressiveness coming from the 20 and the 28. And these guys want to go. They don't want to be behind, setting the pace anymore, or being behind the pace. They want to set the pace. So pretty lucky here is we're going to see battle for first place right here. The 20 on the bottom, 28 on the top side. It can be done from both the bottom and the top, but definitely the top is where you're going to see the most speed. Cody Harris keeps it up, and look there at Matt Danson. He's going to get second spot here easily.
We all thought it was going to be Matt Danson who was walking away victorious just a week ago at Kansas Speedway until he ran out of fuel in turn 4. Instead, Kevin King made the move for his 5th race win of 2023. Again, it was still a good points night for Matt Danson, but to be honest, Danson, I don't think he's anybody who's ever gone out and said, I just want a good points night tonight. He's been somebody who's always wanted to fight for race wins, felt like he should have probably won that race, and in the context here, wants to go out, lead laps, and prove a point, and win his way in to the round of 12, even though he's in a very good position relative to everybody else in the standings. So Harris is first. He's up 3, Danson +5, Freenosh +2. So all of that, there's not a ton of movement in the top 10 that I mentioned about 10-15 laps ago. Well, you can toss that note out the window because drivers are coming and going. Quick 30 laps down at Bristol. Danson pressuring for the lead, but you got Freenosh, you got Lariah, all within only 0.6 of a second of the race lead. They haven't really caught lap traffic yet. Everybody's still on the lead lap, but they're about a straightaway or so from rounding out to the back of the field.
Gosh, I have a pretty big concern right now for some of the drivers who were burning that rubber early in the run.
Yellow.
Actually, never mind. Caution is out. Ryan Dunkelberger is around right across the stripe. And the 23 machine of Brandon Bowie is around. So we'll have to take a look at what happened. Minazzi Major has claimed that yellow, and we'll see. Yes, he definitely was the fault for that yellow. We get the replay spooled up right here. We see Major, that dark green and black machine, gets into the back of Dunkelberger, who gets hit, but I think that was Landon Mills, yes. Oh, and then Bowie has a really hard hit into that inside pit wall, and they synchronize their spins coming back on. Thankfully for them, they do not go a lap down. They blended in just before the pace car came out. That's crucial. But now it's a matter of, you know, we're talking about those runs, right, with the tires. You get 5 sets of tires in this race, so you can change 4 times. We're going to see all the drivers come down right now and do just that. Maybe some stay out. Andrew Farinaj is going to be one of the very few drivers who stay out. And remember, we are on the 1 pit road setting for this race. Unlike what happens in the real world of NASCAR, where you can go down either under green flag conditions, but like the real world in NASCAR, go down 1 under caution conditions.
That's a little bit to say, wasn't it?
Oh yeah.
But this keeps it the most fair. Definitely, everyone's got to come down the same way, and we'll see which one of them comes out first. But it keeps it the most fair, and we'll see which one of these guys comes out first. Race off. Looks like it's Cody.
Cody Harris going to be first off. He had the number 4 pit stall, so I was curious if, you know, Lorian, Nieto, or Phillip were going to be able to take advantage of that better positioning, but it's not the case. Also, big news for the championship leader, Agnell Phillip, is still on pit road. We saw the near incident he had with Cody Harris. He has been having some connection issues that we believe led to that contact. He is trying to get that fixed, and he will do so, I believe, on pit road. You can see he is still well and above everybody else. But if he were to DNF this race, it would put him in the ballpark. Again, there's a chance that given the car count in the race, he's just locked in based on a start. But I would not want a DNF to put that theory to the test. So that's the story there as we get set for a restart. Lights out on top of the pace car, and Andrew Freenach cycles through to the race lead. Your top 6 stayed out. Matt Danson and company. Cody Harris, 7th and 8th position. They will have the fresh tires from row 4 on back. Green flag back in the air.
Big jump from Farinaj right there, and remember, he is on those older tires, so it might be beneficial to just get that jump and see how long you can lead before more cautions come out. Remember, cautions always breed cautions, and that might be the case here at Bristol Motor Speedway. Talking about Agnell Phillip, the fewest points he can gain from this race, being that there's only 26 drivers, he would gain 11 points. That would give him a plus 40 over the edge. The only question is, well, plus 40 over 12th place. That's the thing. You can move down. He cannot be passed by anybody outside of the current in the round of 12. However, you know, Grant Davis is 29 points behind him. Depending on how many Davis gets, he could potentially tie with Agnell Phillip, but I don't think that's possible. I'm still doing the math in my head. I think Phillip's confirmed in no matter what.
Anytime the math involves a calculator, I would suggest not finding out.
You know I have, though. You know I have, though, found it out. And I don't want to do that again. It's time-consuming.
Completely valid. Agnell Phillip still having those issues, so we'll check in on that as we go. But Matt Danson has quickly cycled through to the race lead. He and Cody Harris were the first pair on fresh tires, and Danson was able to get ahead. So he'll rocket through to the race lead. Freenach P2 for now. Not going to last long, though, because his tires are 40-ish laps older than everybody else around him. So Harris going to make the pass. We're going to see those 6 cars who stayed out slide back. They were Freenach, Burke, Schmidt, Stanford, George, and Tucker. Those were the 6 who stayed out. So they start to trickle down the running order. Everybody else on fresh tires running their way to the front. And we'll see now, with a slightly split strategy, how this midfield can sort itself out, because the race leaders have got a huge gap.
Oh yeah, it's been really chaotic in the middle, and it's starting to get itself settled out. A lot of drivers knew that they were going to be on the advantage. They took to the outside. It wasn't exactly rainbows and sunshine for them to get their passes done, but you're going to see those rise, like the 2 car here on the bottom. He is coming back. You know, he had some issues earlier on with that contact on the front straightaway. He's wanting to get back up there and use those tires for what they are worth right now. And yeah, like right now, you just got to really keep yourself in a good position to just keep your car because this is where it gets scary. Right here on the front stretch, right with the 19 car. That's going to be Eric Stanford. You just got to make sure you stay patient in all this.
Big battle you're looking at here's got the 95 centered in it all. It's from really about 4th position on back, and Burke, of course, sliding back on those older tires, getting past Bilaraya and Nieto and Wetmore as that trio nearly 3 wide that time off of turn 4. You're looking at Tom Wetmore now trying to make the pass on Andrew Friedosh. Wetmore's got the tire advantage, so being on the inside is no worries. He is on through. Wetmore a top 5 spot right now in the round of 16 standings. It has been a good playoff so far for the Tube Tech Chevy team, and Sam Nieto as well. Top 3 currently in the live standings. He is through with his pass. Laraya shortly thereafter, and this would, I think, set up really poorly for the cars who decided to stay out, not take tires, Dylan, if this turns into a long run, because with the speed difference now, I don't know how long they're going to be on the lead lap.
Yeah, that's a major question here, but it's also why I think some drivers would have taken the gamble. I'm surprised that Andrew stayed out, but hey, it's not that absurd out of the realm of possibility. And we also know that these drivers can get racy very quickly, and that can lead to more time spent under the yellow flag. Right now, all 26 drivers entered are on the lead lap. Very big, very important. We haven't seen traffic become a concern yet, but with the traffic, the tail end of the lead lap being just around 10 seconds behind the leaders, I mean, it's only going to come quicker because they're struggling with their tires. The leaders, well, they can, of course, because they're the leaders, deal with their tires a little bit better, and they'll probably catch up and not have to worry about the tires falling off that cliff a little bit sooner.
It's not exactly a good thing to be in the back and have those tires either, but you're not usually going to be around a lot of other drivers either, so like there's good and bad things about it. I mean, Brandon Bowie earlier on in this race, he's now shown at the very tail, but he was at the very rear of the field and still got caught up in that accident. So I mean, it's really not really a safe place here. So if you have the tires, you really got to kind of muster up and not get caught by the leader, because like you said, they're only 4 seconds behind. It says 11 seconds behind, but trust me, I would know this from last week. They come up on you super quick, and you have to be really ready for it. You got to punch it once you're in a spot where you just can't go a lap down.
Austin, are you referring to your driving abilities of having to punch it for being in the back?
Yeah. Hey.
Is that what you were referring to?
Yeah. I mean, when those
because
leaders
that's
are
what I would be referring to.
When those leaders are right behind you, like you see yourself 10 seconds behind or ahead of you, which doesn't sound bad at most tracks, but they're really only 3 or 4 seconds behind you, and then you have to throw caution to the wind and start to really use your tires.
I mean, Danson's gonna catch Tucker in the next lap or two, right?
Yeah, he's struggling big time.
And it's tricky for Steve Tucker, who comes into tonight as the driver at the very bottom of the standings, right? Needed to try something different, pretty much needed to win the race. Knew that it was going to be a challenge. He admitted as much, got a pre-race on Twitter with some of the other drivers, and maybe going the wrong way on that strategy gamble, because he will be the first driver tonight to go 1 lap down, as both Matt Danson and Cody Harris make the pass down on the bottom. Tucker would really love a quick yellow because it would give him the lucky dog spot. He's not going to be the lucky dog spot for long, because give it 5 laps, if that, Danson's going to be passed to Bowie. And then same thing for Bowie. He's only going to be in the spot for so long, because then it's next man up and next man up and next man up. And the longer you go on these green flag runs, the higher up those drivers on the lead lap are that are going to start getting lapped by the great pace we're seeing out of Danson and Harris. Everybody inside of the top 8 is on that new tire strategy, so the intervals are pretty accurate now towards the front, and it's pretty impressive that Harris has been closing on Danson the last couple of laps, but they've opened up almost a 2-second advantage on Sam Nieto in third. Remember, on the first run of the race leaders, we had 4 cars within 3/4 of a second of each other, but right now it is a 2-horse race, as these two have really taken advantage of that early strategy opportunity.
I think it was somewhat aided by Farinaj kind of slowing down the rest of the field as they tried to fight by him, where, you know, he's on older tires, so he's going to defend pretty heavily. And then once the drivers on fresher tires behind him get around him, they can break free a bit, while the drivers still behind Farinaj at that moment would then have to spend that lap or two fighting. So I think that's sort of the reason for the kind of the breakup right now in the situations. What is Cody Harris? My goodness, that was a little bit sketchy right there, going 3 wide with some lap cars. Fun to watch.
Not the move I'd do, but...
No, I'd be on the outside or the inside in that situation.
Right. I think heavily influenced by, listen, I don't want to take it easy because I think he realizes he can't let Matt Danson get away if he wants to win this race, right? That goes to the mentality that I was talking about. Danson had a really good points night, right? 2 weeks or a week ago at Kansas, P2. That's great. That's all you need to advance. He doesn't care about a good points night. He wants to win. Same with Cody Harris. Both cars in a position to advance with ease. It's not really what they're thinking about. They're thinking about winning the race.
You see that big pack? I'm sorry to cut you off, Austin, but you see that big pack just right behind. You see Michael Phillip in that, but I'm talking about the pack right behind Phillip. This pack, this is what the leaders are going to have to come through in, give it 2-3 lap time.
So there's a driver out there, and you might be surprised. You probably won't be surprised. That's doing the fastest laps right now. He's not in first. He's not in second. He's in fifth. It's Kevin King. He is currently running the fastest laps right now. I'm watching his lap times. Cody's been running some fast lap times too, but Kevin's been about half a tenth, and I know that doesn't sound like much, but it will here in about 10 laps. Just watch the number 29 here in about 10 laps.
You can see the little red indicator to the left of King's name on the scoring pylon, and our producer Joshua Lee can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that's the indicator of who has the fastest lap of the race. And not all that long ago, it belonged to Cody Harris. So Nieto in purple, there you have it. Fastest lap of the race so far. King highlighting where we're following. So he's up there, best on track in terms of pace. Danson 15.458 last time, but it was a 4.60. So King's not fastest every lap, but those are the variables that you'll see at Bristol. It comes and it goes. And also where they are in relation to traffic is going to be a big indicator. Danson just going around the 95 of the 18. That's going to slow him down a tad. Kevin King's got clean racetrack. That's going to speed him up a tab. So for Danson and Harris, still in the faster they lap cars means the more cars they're putting in between themselves and Kevin King, which is always a good sign.
It is a get away from Kevin King as quick as you can marathon, and we're doing it in Bristol, Tennessee. Kevin King is fast. There's no question about it. He qualified, well, he didn't qualify. He started in 22nd in this 26-car field because he didn't set a lap time here at Bristol, similarly to what he did at Kansas. As you see, there's almost a wreck right in front of us last weekend. So he's trying to do what he did last time and win this race, starting all the way from the back of the field. We're in a similar situation where Matt Danson is in the lead again, with King trying to follow in behind. I don't think, though, it's going to be a similar situation where it's fuel saving. I think it's going to be about tire saving. It's not even a thought. That's what's going to happen. And you know what's absurd at this point? Only the top 16 are on the lead lap. We're on lap 81. We might get to only the top 10, if not the top 9 or worse, by the time this just green flag period ends.
Yeah, and it's an art form of keeping your tires underneath you, and you know, you can go 50 laps, you can go 75 laps. If you understand that we're gonna go green for a while, or if you want to push early on, you just kind of have to have that sort of balance. But to kind of put it into perspective, Sam's fastest lap was on lap 2, and Kevin King's fastest lap was on lap 13. That was in the middle of a green flag run. So by the beginning of Kevin's runs, he's already thinking tire conservation, and then by the end of these runs, it's no wonder who's at the front. But who at the front right now is Matt Danson, who's got a lot of traffic in front of him right now.
And through the traffic, we've seen Harris close and Harris slip. That's happening everywhere, including the battle you look at right now for third and fourth position. Michael Araya has it for the time being. That too is Sam Nieto. Would love to close the gap and take it away, but dealing with traffic as the 44 clears the 95 of Burke on the outside. He'll then, looks like, cross down to the bottom of the racetrack and go under the 6 of Thomas George. George came into tonight 11th in the standings, somewhat close to the bubble. Hasn't been too hot of a night for the drive of the 6 car so far. In P20 already a lap down, so George is going to want to stabilize his race at the moment as you see the positions gained on the leaderboard. No shocker that the biggest mover, Kevin King, at plus 17, but how about a shout out to Brett Puncari, one of the other cars who did not take a time in qualifying. He's up 14, nearly in a top 10 spot. That's a pretty impressive run for Puncari, one of the non-playoff cars, doing a good job of getting into the action.
Yeah, really impressive. Puncari has definitely been showing his skills over the last couple of weeks, and he's gotten involved in some big ways, and it's nice to see for Brett that he's running well, and we can talk about him and highlight what he's doing as we watch Kevin King just continue to slice through the field, getting around Sam Nieto, trying to get to Michael Laraya, who's just a second in front of King. Now, let's talk a little bit about these playoff drivers, but namely the drivers on the outside looking in, 13th through 16th place. Steve Tucker has taken himself out of the fold. He is out of this race. He will not make it into the round of 12. William Schmidt is in 22nd, one lap down. That's not enough for him to do anything to try and get his way into this round of 12. Brandon Fetterplace, though, he's in 9th in the race. He's 1 point back of Thomas George. Came into tonight in 14th, actually tied for 13th. That last spot on the way out. Eric Papineau also is in that tie for 13th, and both of them would be looking sad at the end of the night if they're unable to break into that top 12. Well, Eric Papineau, he is not doing too hot in this. I don't even think he's actually in this field right now. That would make sense. He's actually in 16th. All right. I was like, I saw him. All right. You don't have to, producer, you don't have to make fun of me for showing him.
Didn't even have to say anything. Just change the camera.
I saw him earlier in practice, and I'm like, okay, let's see what he can do. He had a pretty nice run in PRL competition last night here, and he's not real. Eric Papineau does not exist. Wow. Josh Lee, of course, producer. And,
I was just gonna let you. I was just gonna stay silent and let you work yourself out of it. Just let you sink or swim on that one.
Hey, you have to deal with him on a daily basis, though. Sometimes
it's true.
I don't.
I mean, how could you miss that beautiful
Eric Papineau,
Battle
U.S.
Beaver,
Army? Oh, it's
Better Place Machine. Eric Papineau, the 37. Obviously, it's a beautiful. It's chrome, for crying out loud.
All right, listen.
The light reflects off of it.
Okay.
Maybe that's why. Maybe Dylan thinks that chrome is gray and it blends into the concrete surface. We're just going to go with that.
Is this the new theory?
Yeah, we'll stick with that. If you're paying attention to the live standings, it is now a tie for the final transfer spot between Fetter Place and George. Fetter Place right now 9th on track. I mentioned George needed to stabilize his night. He is now down to 21st position. They are tied. The tie break would go to whoever had the highest single race finish in that round. So any tie on there, I would, again, don't take Fetter Place over George. That one would go to the math post-race. So right now, neither are in or out. It's going to go down to post-race. They're tied currently. Just watch those numbers very closely. The next 150 laps is going to decide someone's championship fate between those two.
It could even come down to this race, too.
Yeah, Burke's only 2 points up, too.
It's close. Really close. And, I mean, even if someone ties, like, this specific race can determine the tiebreaker, too. So, I mean, these guys really have to get after it. I mean, some of these guys really got to hope for a caution because they're bleeding out right now, for lack of a better way to say it. And the caution is going to be the nice bandage to stop it all. And they really need it bad.
We need a Bob Hockers for this league. Just calculating who's the tiebreaker, who's in, who's out.
I could probably do a little math here behind the scenes, I suppose. Could go get the race results, but right now it's pretty calm for the leaders. Obviously, they're going around a lot of traffic, but like you said earlier, Dylan, top 11 is now on the lead lap. It's going by quickly, and we're already over 100 laps, almost halfway.
You guys talk. I'm doing the math on who's got the tiebreaker.
I don't trust you to do the math. At all.
I put in the official points.
Yeah, but
that's my job.
You try. Man, we're just hating on each other in the last few laps. Just taking shot after shot at each other. That's
don't take too many shots.
Yeah, don't do that. We're all
last week. Brandon Feder placed P13, and he was where are we? Kansas Speedway, race 22. So in race 21 at Darlington, 13th. So he's finished 13th and 19th in this round. So his highest finish would be the P13, courtesy of his Darlington finish. Let's look at Thomas George, 4th at Darlington. So don't even need to look at his Kansas result.
This race does count.
It is different in this round, which is correct. This race will count towards us. So George was 4th at Darlington, and he was 20th at Kansas. So P4 is the benchmark. If this race is to tie, Brandon Feder Place needs to finish higher than a P4. If they're both have a highest finish of a 4th, it would then go to their second highest finish. We'll talk about that.
Is that too advanced for you?
P4, just know if you're Brandon Feder Place, if you finish 4th, 3rd, 2nd, 1st.
Oh no!
So Bradley Burke is in on it as well. We could realistically end this race with a three-way tie for the final.
What do the rules say? Evan?
It's still tie is still broken by highest finish. So do we got to look up Burke's finishes?
I don't think we have time for that right now.
What I do know,
12th at Darlington and 10th at Kansas. So Georgia still got both of their numbers unless they can better that here tonight.
Okay, fair enough. Well, I can tell you one thing that is definitely in stone right now. Matt Danson is about to put everyone except the top 10 one lap down. Right in front of him is Brett Punkari, having himself a pretty solid night running in 11th place, but Danson's looking to make his night a little bit more complicated. But Bradley Burke is racing in the thick of it right now, and Grant Davis alongside him. Agno Phillip as well, trying to get back into this conversation, but he is half a lap back of the leaders with Tom Wetmore.
And right now, a lot of these drivers going one lap down. Some of them are barely sticking with it. Looking at the number 20, Andrew, he just went a lap down, and he's the first car one lap down. One lap down isn't so bad, especially when you're in the situation that just about everyone looks to be going to lap down that did not take tires. And so staying in that one lap down position is okay, but there are multiple drivers going multiple laps down. Brandon Bowie being the first driver 2 laps down. That's the place you don't want to be at, because there's not really a lot of hope for you to get your lucky dog or any lucky dogs. So top 10 now on the lead lap, and it's gonna be a shorter list, not only a few more laps here. 39 coming across the start finish line now, and then Matt Danson now. So at least the tire call was good for those who took tires.
And unfortunately for those who did not, it was a majority of the cars who did. So it's not like a 50-50 split. I mean, if you didn't take tires, you're certainly on the wrong end of the stick right here. 4 drivers out of this race. Bradley Burke P22, the last running car on the racetrack, 4 laps down in the number 22 spot. There's not a lot of positions for him to gain. He's going to need something to happen in this race, right? Thomas George was below the cut line not that long ago, or at least tied for it. He's now 2 points up because George has positions that he can gain, right? He can pass Whitaker. He can pass Major. Now, he can also lose positions. There's a pro and a con, but there are a ton of cars on the same lap as Thomas George for him to gain or lose. But at least to some extent, he controls that. For Burke, he's not getting anything. He's the only car 3 laps down, so you ain't passing anybody unless they wreck out. And also, no one's going to pass you, in theory, unless you wreck out. So Burke's going to be stagnant, and George and Fetter Place, their names are going to bounce around Burke based on how they're doing, because Burke can't really do much right now.
Well, Burke needs it to stay green because he just went into the pits a few laps ago for tires. That's a bewildering choice. Unless he just could not race. It felt like ice out there maybe for him a little bit ago, but he's trying to get those laps back. He was 4 laps down, now he's 3 laps down. With the speed he's got, if it stays green, he can maybe get the 2 laps down, but to me, that's practically a race ruiner. You do not want to go into the pits during a green flag session. That added to his lap times, I believe 46 seconds total. That's 3 laps. So interesting decision right now.
At some time, you got to come in though, Dylan. I mean, these guys are at 120 lap tires. They've been on them the whole race.
Yeah.
So at some point, you've got to come in and you got to make that decision. And so Brandon Bowie just came down pit road as well. So these guys, they've got to come at some point, and they will make it on fuel the rest of the way. So that is good news for them. But you've got to come down pit road at some point, and you've got to split it. This is the best call, I think, that they had because they made a bad choice already.
Well, you got to also remember we had that caution around 40 laps in, and a lot of drivers came into the pits then. So it's around 80 lap old tires, and that's definitely bad, but that's manageable. You can make it work, at least for another probably 30 or so laps. That's why I'm just kind of questioning the choice to do it now, I guess, because you just sacrifice so many laps when you pit under green flag conditions that it almost takes away the benefit completely. The risk is so high that it makes me question the reward.
Yeah, they're just hoping for a longer green flag run. If a caution comes out, this isn't a good choice at all. But I mean, at some point you gotta come down. I've been in this position before where it's like, well, you come down or not. You want to stay out as long as you can. But sometimes, like with Bowie, he had damage, and Berg, at some point you do know that you're just losing so much time out there, and you just like to not, because then you have that too. You're like, as a driver, you're seeing all these cars continue to go by you, and it demoralizes you, and so you just want something to change. Not saying it's the right decision or the wrong decision, but it's probably what's going on in their head.
They desperately need this to go green. That would be their only opportunity to not only stay competitive in this race, but in Burke's context, to maybe try to stay in this playoff race. The good news is, again, right now, he can't go any lower. So he's already at rock bottom at 2068. That number should stay consistent. For Fetter Place and George, it's up to them. They could gain or they can lose additional spots. And right now, Fetter Place drops a position. He's back to where he started this race in 9th. Therefore, he is now the only car on the outside. No tie at the moment. And it may get worse for Fetter Place here shortly because Michael Johnson is closing in. That's the blue 39 up on the outside, closing in on Fetter Place. If he could pass him, then it would drop Fetter Place down to -2. So it's a pretty big battle here as we are past halfway home in this Bristol 250.
Ross Cato just got around the... Oh, it's still going on. This battle has been watching for about 10 laps right now. Ross Cato is just now getting by the 51. He's been really patient this whole race, and so he finally got around the 51, and he's doing a pretty good job in the points right now. I raced with him on Thursday. He's evidently a lot better day from...
Oh, no!
Oh, big wreck! Oh, no! Oh, gosh.
Big hit to the 52 of Sean Casto, and this yellow is not what those cars multiple laps down who needed to pit wanted to see. It also is great news if you're a lead lap car not involved in that accident, because it means you're going to have an opportunity to pit under the yellow flag. And
what?
This was a huge incident. I believe it started with Eric Papineau. Almost a 3-wide situation. It was some faster cars closing in on Papineau, who's 2 laps down, and you can see the 37 just tries to go too high to get out of the way, gets the wall, comes down. And then that 15, or the 52, sorry, comes back across the racetrack, and big shot there. That's heavy damage on the 12 car.
It almost seemed like Eric just put the wheel to the left. We'll watch it from here. Hits the wall. Just keeps going down. Look, he keeps moving down to the wall. Did he just drop the wheel?
Looking at his
onboard too.
He's turning right.
Progressively going further and further to the right. So he makes a little bit of contact with the wall. He's turning right. The car's going down the hill. He keeps turning further and further right, but something broke in the car when he hit the wall. That's the only explanation that I can see. And watch the wheel. You're going to see this wheel only turn to the right after he hits the wall, but watch the car. It doesn't follow any of his wheel inputs. Look, still going left, still going left.
That's
something had to have
so
broke when
wild.
it got into the outside wall.
And it's exactly what Eric said while, we were just talking here. He said over the radio, my apologies, I was turning to the right, but the car just would not come back, which is exactly what we saw. Wild.
You don't see it do that very often. I mean, even with, shoot, I've been driving this car since it came out, and I've never seen it do that bad. So he must have hit it just the right angle, and with the tire wear, it just snapped, and clearly, he didn't mean to, but that hurts a lot of guys right there. And I was just talking about how good of a race Ross was having, and well, you know how that goes.
So a tough break, but it will bring all of these race leaders down pit road under the caution flag for service. And I think even some of the drivers who had pitted recently are going to come back down to pit road, knowing that they're not going to be able to get a ton of laps back. And it's going to be a messy situation with a lot of cars off laps. And while we have the opportunity under the yellow flag, want to highlight Sean Kalis for a minute, guys. And this was a popular clip that he shared in the RSR Discord over the weekend. How about Sean getting behind the wheel of a stock car with the driving experience at Gateway?
Yeah, this is pretty awesome. He said he had to use the brakes a little bit, which when I, a number of years ago, was at Dover, they just said coast in the corners, do not touch that brake pedal at all. But hey, that's a pretty awesome experience right there for Sean. And I'll let Matt Danson, what he said, kind of sum up what Matt's feelings are. Just as fast as your RSR times. That's brutal, Matt. That's brutal. So brutal.
I have never done a drive experience. I've only ever taken my street car out on the racetrack at Las Vegas Motor Speedway a couple of times. I would love to I want to do both. I want to do the driving experience where I get to drive it, and then also when you get the ride shotgun, right, where they open them up a little bit more. I want to do a double package. Maybe we'll make that an RSR outing one night. Pace car's off it in, though. No change up front. Matt Danson takes the green with 107 laps to go in this race. Harris quickly into P2.
Top 10.
I see a lot more urgency right here, guys, because now they've gone farther than they ever have on green flag on tires, and now we've got less than about 100 laps to go. This is gonna get pumped up real quick. You're gonna see a lot of guys using that outside lane to pass, as you're seeing the 24 doing right here.
Only 3 cars are 1 lap down, so that's another thing to look at. Andrew Farinaj is a lap down, as Landon Mills and Ryan Dunkelberger. They'll be racing for the Lucky Dog spot. And how about that? Lucky Dog comes to fruition. I think it might have been Landon just a moment ahead of Farinaj, and he'll get the Lucky Dog. Do not know what happened.
Kevin King is the driver who is the cause of the caution. Something must have happened to force Kevin to pull over on the racetrack. And when the car came to us up again, he's P4. Kevin just drove through the field, challenging for the win. We talked about him being one of the most consistent cars on track. And I don't know if something outside of the sim or he had a hardware issue, but you can see very quickly he pulls off the racetrack, clearly had to get out of the car and get out of his rig to attend to something, and he tried to get off the surface, but you can see that white line technically on the race surface, and as he escapes to the garage, it counts as a car stopped on the racetrack, and that's the cause of a yellow. So a very strange circumstance to see Kevin King retire from this race.
That's unfortunate. You got to bring that car down pit road. It's only a few more feet, and hopefully nothing is going on IRL in real life, but got to bring that car down pit road and just messing the race up. But other than that, I mean, one person gets a lap back here, so that kind of makes things a little bit more fun for us, at least.
I missed the name associated with it, but somebody else just said, hey, have Kevin come back and do that a couple more times. I need some laps back.
That was Grant.
Yes, so some drivers not complaining about the fact that there's a yellow flag in this one. And to your point, Dylan, Landon Bills did get the wave around, so he will rejoin the lead lap. We're back to the magic number 10 of cars on the lead lap. This also is big in terms of if we can get another look at the live standings. I know things are kind of shuffling around as we're under the yellow flag. A couple of cars on pit road, Burke, Cato, Papano, they're all down on pit road. But when we talk about the battle for the bubble spot, this has also tightened things up amongst those cars, because Burke is now back in a position where he's 2 laps down with a bunch of other race cars, no longer in a spot where can't gain, can't lose. So that is big as well.
Yeah, that is pretty massive for Burke and other drivers. I'm just wondering, I'm just bewildered right now. And Burke's actually going down pit lane for 4 tires and some fuel, so that's going to help him move into the front of all of these cars that are on the 2 lap down lap. Right now they're on lap 148 while the leaders are pacing around on lap 150. This race is going to end very soon. Very interesting. This race has gotten weird, spooky.
It's not just weird,
The sun's
but
gone. It's maybe a full moon. It's just getting, it's mixed up a little bit. I think we had a pretty good idea, Coop, of what the playoff picture was like about 25, 30 laps ago, and that's completely changed since then.
Hey guys, real quick, I've got a question for you.
Okay.
Why couldn't the astronaut get a hotel on the moon?
Oh, boy.
oh, here we go.
He couldn't find a hotel room on the moon.
He's not wrong.
No, I asked you that. Why couldn't the astronaut find a hotel room on the moon?
Why not?
It was a full moon.
I like the first one better. I thought the first one was just more straightforward. Somebody else who can't get real estate up front is Cody Harris and Michael Araya. They are trying to keep with Danson, but that is another good start for the 38 car. He rockets out to an early lead again, and Laraya on the bottom going to take P2 away from Cody Harris. Quick caution, though, behind your race leaders.
Oh, Dunkelberger is involved with Casto.
Sean Casto as well involved.
Oh boy, this is not good, and it happened right at the entrance of turn 3 before they kind of got there, actually. So we'll pop it up here, but it happened on the exit 2. The 18 and the 24 had a tiny bit of contact. Nothing wrong with the 24, but 18 kind of just ran into the 24 and lost control.
George with a big bit of contact right there too.
That is not good for the 6 of Thomas George, one of the 3 drivers we've been highlighting as battling on the bubble. And anytime as you go on board there with Dunkelberger, anytime you get front end damage on one of these race cars, I'm always worried about the engine longevity. And you can see he tried to turn the car right to get it to turn back down the hill, but it was just a little bit too late, and there was nothing Thomas George could have done there. And now the question is going to be, how bad is the damage on the front of that 6 Ford?
Well, I'll tell you that when you hit the front end the way he did, it isn't as bad as you might think. You don't want the wheel damage, as we saw earlier today. That usually is more catastrophic. The only thing is temperature, so he's got to watch his gauges, make sure he's getting some good clean air. But you're off the throttle a lot, so I don't think that's going to be a huge problem. But yeah, I don't think he's in a terrible spot with the damage. I think it's probably just demoralizing. But here's the kicker right here: there are no cars 1 lap down, only 2 laps down. That means these guys are gonna be fighting for that spot now. This is gonna be fun, guys.
The Lucky Dog spot will get punted from the first car 1 lap down to just the first car a lap down, and that'll be the battle for that -2 spot. And again, things were looking pretty bad for Burke with nothing to gain. About 30, 40 laps ago, Burke could get as high as 12th now with cars that are on the same lap as him alone, let alone the possibilities of being able to maybe fight to get back to the race lead lap. So that's what you can see. Feder Place is now 5 whole points behind Thomas George. And Brandon's not having a bad night. He's just coming in below the cut, right? I mean, the closest car below the cut line entering tonight was -12. So Vetter Place is doing what he needs to do. He's running top 10, but George has picked things up, and really with Burke picking things up, that's been the biggest thing to hurt him.
What's really interesting is when we're talking about playoff drivers, non-playoff drivers, is who is on the lead lap that is currently fighting for a playoff spot. And no one sticks out more than Brandon Fetterplace. He's really doing himself a favor. He's doing as well as he could. He's right now 5 points out of the playoff picture, but he needed a perfect race almost, needed a top 5 finish, and he's right on the outside. And he's also getting exactly what he wished for. Drivers are starting to have big issues. The problem is that other drivers have already exited the race with bigger issues. The lowest that any of these drivers can pretty much finish now, if they wrecked out, is 17th, because from 18th on back, they're out of this race, out of the session, except for Eric Papanow, 15 laps down. He's just trying to pick up some places, pick up some spots. So this is going to get really interesting. Not many cars on track, only 18 total.
And we line up for another restart. Remember, Lariah was able to get around Harris on the last one, so he's outside of row number 2, or row number 1, I should say, but Harris gets an opportunity to take it right back. He goes under, and he will. So the 28 car snatches P2 back behind another good restart for Matt Danson.
Yeah, really solid restart there for Danson, and now it's about just fighting as hard as you can, saving tires a little bit, because if it goes green the rest of the way, you've got to use these tires the rest of the way. That's 92 laps of green flag racing on these tires. That's huge, and you got to make sure they don't turn into ice by the end.
Saw some long green flag runs in that iRacing Bristol 500 at the end of last week. I don't know where my confidence level is on us seeing 91 green to the end, but we saw a lot of green flag early in the race. Maybe we've weathered that mid-race yellow fever, and we'll see what complexion the second half of this race has. Cato has jumped all the way up to 9th in the live standings. He is well and clear, and the bubble battle now a whole 7 points in favor of Thomas George, so things are looking up for the 6 car.
Yeah, they're looking up right now, but everyone who's in that, 8-car live standings looking, I mean, we're talking Grant Davis, we're talking Bradley Burke, Thomas George, Ross Cato. They are all the drivers 2 laps down. There's 6 drivers right now 2 laps down. 4 of them are on that live standing graphic. This is going to be big.
And I know you touched on this earlier, Dylan, but again, to remind folks, you see the names below that cut line. Steve Tucker, he's out of this race. He's not going to advance. William Schmidt, out of the race. He's not going to advance. Eric Papanow, he's on track, but it's minus 15 laps, not going to make it out. So it really is a battle from 13th on up for who is going to be, or who's not going to be, I guess, the odd man out, with, I think, 14th through 16th decided at this point.
Yeah, better place being right here in 9th place. He's losing another spot. He just lost 2 spots on this restart, which isn't the end of the world, because he's trying to take this car to the long run. This is a good play right here for him, because if it goes long, he'll pass these guys back eventually. If it goes short, go get tires. The farthest back you can go back is 11th. It's worth taking this strategy call on tires. Only thing is that you will be seeing these drivers pull away from you just a little bit, but he's only 2/10 off the lead. Pace as the 24 has a little moment in front of him. That was a little scary, but you got to keep going. The 20's on his outside.
That's also scary, that the 20's on your outside.
It's been a bit of a quiet night, admittedly, for Andrew Friedrich. Started P5, and again, he was on the wrong end of that opening yellow pit strategy where he decided to stay out. So the Elliott Sadler Esports Mustang hasn't had much of a free crack, or a fair crack at this, because he's been off cycle for so much. So you could assume that the 20 is going to want to be working his way through the field, and right now making a pass at Michael Johnson in a battle for P8. You can give it to the 20. The outside seems to be the passing lane. He'll go up to the outside of the 95 of Burke. That one not for position. Burke currently the 2nd car, a lap down. The 95 is racing the 24. That's the battle for the lucky dog on the bottom, while up top is a battle for position on the lead lap.
And that battle's just as important too, because you go one lap down, and you're the only guy out there one lap down too. You can basically get a free ride to stay in that position and hope for another caution to then start racing with the front runners. But it's really fun to watch these, because when you are that first car a lap down, you're fighting really hard. You're not going to save anything because you just got to stay in front of that other guy just in case that caution comes out. But you just hope it's not you. Is the 20 and the 20 and the 24 almost made contact right there on the entrance to 1 right there.
Something that we got to remember is that free pass is given to the first driver, not on the lead lap, not the first driver a lap down. So even though that you're 2 laps down, you still get that free pass if you're the first driver not on the lead lap. So right now, Burke and Davis are fighting to potentially go to 1 lap down if a caution comes out. And if you're the only driver a lap down on the next restart, I mean, you're sitting pretty for maybe the rest of the race. I mean, realistically, if the next caution comes out, if there is a next caution, whoever's the first driver 2 laps down and there's no one a lap down, no one goes a lap down over the next few sets of laps, then you'd probably realistically need 3 total cautions to get back into this fold, into this race. Because the first one would put you a lap down, the next one would potentially put you on the lead lap, but at the back of the field, and then after that, you'd need to try and get another caution to get, a restart within that top 11 right now.
At this stage, we are 37 laps. I got my clicker right here. We're 37 laps on these tires, so almost all the leaders would come down to get fresh rubber, which means everyone a lap down would probably and likely seek a wave around. They would be on old tires, but they'd be out there. As you're watching the 95, he's now the #1 driver a lap down, and he's actually starting to press the march now.
To the outside, trying to take the lead away from Danson, but is it going to be tricky for the 38 car to play defense on the bottom? Lariah going to have the advantage of those big, powerful runs off the banking, and off of turn 2, he has got it. Michael Lariah, for the first time tonight, to the race lead in the Bristol night race.
Oh, I love to see that for Lariah, but I do hate it a bit for Danson right now. I wonder if it's Danson saving tires, or maybe he used up those tires in the first few laps of this run. Remember, Michael Lariah is a driver who, in his rookie year of RSR competition, was, I mean, some people would say he deserved to have that title. He was right there at the end before a very ill-timed caution came out to pretty much rip away his chance of securing the Full Throttle Cup. He hasn't really reached the heights of that first season, though. What was it, 2020? Wild.
Danson's not done with it though. They're pretty close to each other, and they're different. Oh, this is fun to watch. This is fun to watch because they kind of let each other. He let the 44 have the outside, and now Danson's going to run the outside where he was running the bottom for quite some time now. So you kind of can play some games, but once you're committed, you see this in the Cup Series as well. Like, you're going to commit to a line usually before you get there, and you have to kind of stick with this. So you're watching them go one lane, then the other lane, and this is fun. This is going to be fun to watch these guys as he's right on his bumper.
You saw that near 3-wide moment as Sam Nieto finding Andrew Freenosh for 7th, caught up to the 95 machine of Bradley Burke, who has gotten ahead of Grant Davis for the lucky dog position. What a way this race has turned around for Burke, who is now somehow 10 points above the cut line after being in the red at about the halfway point of this race. So that battle carries on. Davis seemingly slidingly back. I think Burke is in a good position to maintain. All he needs, though, is that subsequent yellow, if he gets one, to happen before the last car on the lead lap right now, which is Brett Pancari, to fall a lap down. The good news is Pancari is only 6 seconds off of the race leader. That's about 9 seconds ahead of getting lapped. So he does have time before that happens. As up front, Danson continues to want to put the pressure on Lariah, but it's backed down just a touch. But a 4-car length gap and almost 2 tenths, as you see on the leaderboard, so nothing brewing at the moment in the battle up front.
This is intriguing because right now I was saying this during the caution. 18 drivers are on track. Eric Papanow has made his way to 18th, unless anybody else wrecks out very soon. That's the highest he will be, so he'll finish 14th in the round of 12. Not enough to advance, but he's still out there accruing points. So if one of George or Cato or Davis or Burke, all currently 2 laps down, all currently, 12th through 15th in this race, if one of them has an issue, that opens the door for Brandon Fetterplace, who is in 9th. This is also the crazy thing. Fetterplace, yeah, he's on the outside looking in right now, but a driver like Burke, who at one point was out of the playoffs in the live standings, he's only 3 positions back. Even though he's 2 laps down, 2 laps back of Fetterplace, he's only 3 total positions back of him. That's only a -3 on the night for him comparatively, so it's just interesting.
I'm looking at the 37 here, and it looks like he's clocking laps down on the apron. It's kind of...
He doesn't want to disrupt any of the leaders' battles.
Yeah, I see that. Oh, Casto's on the bottom of the track, 43 laps down. It looks like he either out of gas or out of power. You just got to watch this right here. He might throw a caution if he gets down to the apron.
Yeah, what's happening here? Casto's come back onto the circuit, and he's really slow.
Yeah, if he goes any slower, it's gonna cause a caution, as we saw earlier.
And I wonder if he was trying
to
pull it back up, but he's inside of the blue line, so he's technically still on pit road, but he's running well below pit road speed. Also, just looking at the wheel inputs on that car, I don't think that's a car that should go back on.
Oh my goodness!
That might have been one of those exploratory laps that he just wanted to make sure that everybody knew that you can get 10% off at Velocita and come down pit road and get some extra TV time, and
Terry Radford
make sure you see the
proud.
promo code.
Good job, buddy.
So he gets back into the pits, no issues there. As the battle up front continues on, this is for first, second, and third, and it is a true 3-way battle now. As you look off the back of Danson, Agnew Phillip is there in third. Your pole sitter trying to close in and take back the top spot. It's worth noting, not that he's going to need them, but Matt Danson has secured the most bonus points available. He's locked up most laps led, so he's got 2 bonus points in his pocket. Nobody else can take that away. What they're fighting for, though, you get all these cars in a position to advance on points. What they want, though, are bonus points, and they don't plan on needing them. It's not a lot, but it's honest work, and a race win in this round would give you 3.
Yellow.
Doesn't matter. The yellow flag is out, and we get to do it all over again.
I think Nieto may have summed up exactly what happened. Someone may have stopped on track again.
I saw a slow car down towards where the pace car was.
It's Braden Whitaker.
Oh,
what is he
doing?
doing?
Damage though. Did his wheel? We're talking about some issues here, and watch this with Braden Whitaker. He's on his own in P16, and oh yeah, you can see the
screen
hand
went
snap
black.
there. Screen went black, or the wheel disconnected. Can we go the onboard look, but wind it back a little bit more? It's tricky to tell. You just see the hand there, but when you see the way that it snaps, you can tell something disconnected with the wheel. Right, he's rolling off the wheel right there.
Yeah,
Lost
wheel disconnect.
input.
Wheel disconnect right there. Yeah, that sucks, because even if you have the screen in front of you, there's nothing you can do. The good thing is it goes left, and he doesn't have to run anyone's night. But clearly a wheel issue, and man, when that happens, you just like, what do you do?
Just wild though that this continues to kind of be an issue tonight, whether there's just the wheels not working or a big disconnect or cars stopping on track, because we haven't seen many of the typical Bristol cautions, which are chaos ensuing no matter what. But at
that
this
might happen
moment,
soon.
that will happen soon, I'll tell you that. At this moment, everyone has come into pit lane from the lead lap. Landon Mills took a long time to get into pit lane. I'm not sure what was going on there, but he's coming out, and he's going to come out actually quickly, maybe in 4th, is it? Or even 2nd, right behind Agnew Phillip.
Agnew Phillip puts in a 9.9 second stop. It's going to be two tires only for both Phillip and for Mills, whereas everybody else, including Michael Laraya, who is 3rd off pit road overall, will take 4. So we'll have a front row with 2 tires and a whole lot of cars with 4 to spice in the end of this Bristol 250 up. And to follow up on our note from earlier, Bradley Burke did get the lucky dog position, so he is able to advance a lap and come down pit road for service.
Huge.
Additional cars will get a lap back. Grant Davis, Ross Cato, Minotzi Major will all also go from 2 laps down to 1 lap down, but you can see them there in front of the 94 on track. They do so by staying out. So they'll get the wave around, but they're still going to be on their older tires. That's about 64 laps old on average. So that's the 2 different ways you can get yourself back to the 1 lap down position.
Well, now Thomas George has made the decision not to take the wave around, which I'm not sure was the smartest move for him. He's the only car 2 laps down. He does have fresh tires. What he's going to want to happen is this race to go green for, well, I guess the rest of the way. He can try to...
It's not the decision to make.
Right.
You got to take that.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of something good for
He
America.
he can pass those guys 1 lap down, but he won't get back on the lead lap that way. You got to take that risk.
And I mean, at this point, Bradley Burke is going to be, he's going to be the lucky dog unless he's involved in the incident. He's got way fresher tires than everybody else a lap down by virtue of being able to go with the free pass. But we're getting back to racing here on lap 208 of 250.
Green flag is back in the air. Let's see how well the 2 tires do. Phillip and Mills only took right sides. Everybody else on 4. So Lariah on the bottom. Can the extra Goodyears help him around Mills? They cannot. He holds him off. And here comes Danson to the outside for P3.
That's really surprising that those 2 tires did so well that opening lap. But, oh, wow! Huge hit in the turn 3. He does not want any of it. But that's still going to hold him back. What a huge shove into turn 3. And, 3/8 in the wall.
What is going on between these drivers? Danson is not going to forget this between he and Lariah. I mean, it's kind of a shame because they were just pinballing back and forth. I can't really... There was nothing intentional there. It just happened the way it did.
Oh, boys have at it. This has been fun, but some people are going to be very upset about what just happened. But
I think it was on Danson, too. He got loose.
Yeah, he got loose. But you know who's loving all this? The 94 out in the front with 2 tire call. This is amazing that they're working this well.
It's getting exciting late here at Bristol. You're looking at the 51 of Wetmore, the 20 of Freenosh. They fight for P4. And Freenosh wasn't quite all the way clear, but he committed to it. And I think I saw a bit of a blip there for the 39 of Johnson. So Freenosh will settle for 5th for the moment. Johnson behind in 6th and Wetmore in front. P4 is the highest we've seen that 51 Chevrolet so far tonight. And he's got a tire advantage compared to some of the cars in front of him. What can Tom Wetmore do late in this race? Here goes Lariah now to the inside, trying to make the move on Mills, who's into the outside wall that time. And Lariah, Wetmore, Freenosh, they want to go because Phillip is pulling away from Mills, who's running blocker right now for him.
Was a little late on that move, but he made it work and he stuck to it. These 2 tires are doing really good for him, but they're not going to last forever, and so it's a good call by him to do it. He made a good tire call earlier on in the race too, but if they get to his outside, he's going to be done, and you just can't keep it on the bottom that well, so he's doing a really good job keeping up at the top though, and really with about just over 30 laps to go, it's a kind of anyone's call. Here comes the 44 to the bottom. Oh, so close, almost touching bumpers there.
Federer Place needs to be at least in the top 4 if George is unable to pick up any more positions by the end of this race to move on. The daylight is there, the sun is there, but it's starting to dim.
With the way they're racing, though, I mean, the 51 just almost punted the 44 into the corner, and they're going to start getting impatient with these guys. Oh boy, yeah, he's slow, but there it is. Yep, there it is. He just sent the message. He can't keep it up, and that's fair in my book.
Well, Matt Danson now going to drop down as, of course, a lap down car in this race. Then the contact. Now he falls even further down, and maybe a second week in a row where Matt Danson, it feels like, probably should have won the race, and it's falling apart for him late.
Yeah, it really is, and you feel for Matt because all the momentum that he's had from all the laps led over the last 2 weeks, it really doesn't mean much, I guess you could say. Now, you know, I don't know if we've seen a replay of exactly what has happened between Danson and Michael Laraya, but to me, I'm not sure if you always look back on your own, you know, sim itself, but it looked like Danson just got way loose, and then he and Laraya just kept pinballing from there.
Well, you can't say that the emotions aren't high at this place when it comes down to the end, that is for sure. Showed his displeasure, didn't wreck him, but did show his displeasure, and the race keeps moving on. 26 is still holding on to P2, doing a great job. We got 25 laps to go this time by, and I mean, unless these guys really do something about Mills, they're not going to catch Phillip. I mean, it's just not going to happen. And they've got to put they got to put it together here in order to get around the 26. But maybe they're buying their time with the new tires. Man, he's doing a great job of keeping them at bay. I mean, it's 1 second between the front two, and then they're just all over him for second. But gap between fourth and third is now quite a bit bigger too. And number 20, Andrew, he's coming pretty quick here, coming on to lap 228.
Been a while since we've seen Agno Phillip in victory lane. Of course, comes into this season as your defending Full Throttle RealSimRacing Cup Series champion. He won 3 of the first 12 races this year, and then hasn't won since then. That last win coming at Sonoma on June the 12th. It's fair to note that since that point, somebody by the name of Kevin King has won 5. And so the fact that Agno Phillip has to win a race is not at all necessarily reflective of the 94 speed, but you know that Agno expects maybe with a little bit more pressure this year than he's ever felt as a defending champ to maybe carry that flag to perform. And again, he is enjoying what he's seen out of the back end right now. And there's again Danson and Laraya, and they're all the way into the outside wall, and now the 94 is going to spin, and it is all falling apart at Bristol.
Well, Danson says on the radio he was really tight. There was a suspension earlier in the year. We never saw the return of one driver for, I believe it was an incident at Phoenix, if I'm remembering correctly. And Matt's just talking on the radio, and I love Matt, but that might be worth a suspension.
Yeah, I mean, the first incident is you know, I feel like is one of those things where you gentlemen, you know, hit and then you're over with, but fencing a guy and causing him, yeah, we don't want to see that, of course. And the shame, it's emotions right there. It's emotions, you know. We've all had it.
The car is driving like crap, but not that bad to not be able to make the corner.
Yeah. Matt's been removed from the server. I mean, Laraya gave him a little push there, but Danson also came right back up in front of him while going slow. And I mean, I wish we could see a replay of that earlier, what incident that started. I don't know what lap it happened on, but Danson's outrage, in my opinion, is unfounded.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is this is a place you race hard as these guys are coming down pit road. You come to race. And
is this it?
Here's the original contact.
Okay. See what happens.
It's going to be, I don't remember if it was on the exit at 2.
It's 4.
He probably feels crowded a little bit when they get through the center of the corner, right? The 44 might be a little bit high in the center right here when he was trying to split the difference, but there's no touch, and I mean, he's got all the room in the world on the outside.
Yeah,
that's when you wish you had some. That's when you wish you had someone who watched the replay for you, because now it doesn't look so great. And now it's not going to be a good night for him, and maybe not the rest of the season. Yeah, but like we said, I mean, emotions really get a hold of you when you're behind the wheel, and yeah, like I said, sometimes you wish you just had someone telling you what was going on and what actually happened, because both those cars could have still been going, and now we've got an interesting predicament on our hand.
And Matt said in the YouTube chat that, yeah, fair, that's more me. So at least he says it after the fact. And he usually will call himself out when he does a mistake, and that's just got to keep your emotions in check. Oof.
Well, back to
I'm
the
happy
action here. Yeah.
I'm happy I'm not race control after the race. Right, Evan?
Yeah, it is. It's going to be an interesting night, to say the least. And we thought it was going to be a battle for the bubble, and now there may be broader reaching things. I don't know how difficult this is going to be, guys, but Landon Mills is now ahead of Agno Phillip. That pass happened on pit road entry. I don't know how difficult it'll be to pull that up with the lights already out on top of the base car, but essentially Phillip was not going to pit. Mills came down pit road behind him, and then Agnell decided, all right, I'm coming in, but by the time he got to pit road, Landon Mills was ahead of him. So Agnell Phillip was not going to pit, decided to come down at a last-moment decision. It is 2 tires only for Mills, Phillip, and Fetter Place, but all of a sudden, the 26 car is in the lead at Bristol. Pace car down, 14 laps to go. Green flag back in the air.
Really good jump by him there.
8 cars on the lead lap right now, and you're right, Austin. That's a big jump for Landon Mills.
He's got to keep it up, though. He did a great job of fending them off earlier, but with 13 laps to go, it's going to be, the 94.
Oh, the 28 car into the outside wall. He didn't get tagged, though, so there's no yellow. This race stays green after Cody Harris made contact with Brandon Fetter Place and hit the
battle for the
hard.
lead. Battle for the lead here. Here comes the 94 on the bottom side. Gets a little loose on the exit, but he's coming. Oh, he's going to get him. Oh, look, he's going to come back down. Caution's going to come out.
Freenage and a yellow with 12 laps to go. There's some damage as well to Fetter Place. And it is going absolutely wild late at Bristol.
Well, they kept
That's just
it.
short track racing.
They kept it close, guys, or they kept it bottled up until the end here. And I tell you what, this is not. They definitely touched, whether whether it was a sim touch or not. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Same way the Fetter Place hits Mills right there. Touched in quotation marks. Oh boy.
And I only bring that up because non-physical contact leading to an accident like that is a way that an accident can be classified in terms of neither of those drivers being assigned fault, because they did not, at least from their perspective, make contact with each other, which has an impact on intent, has an impact on fault. I don't think Phillip's going to be found at fault for that, because he made no intention, at least on his side, even made contact with the 26.
This is just absolutely wild. So, Fetter Place right now is in 5th place. Could he steal something? Because Thomas George is still 2 laps down. This is wild, guys. Look at the points right now.
He's still got to get a
3
few
points.
positions, but it's on the table now. We didn't think it was going to be like that earlier, but it's on the table, boys. It's here.
Yeah, but
It was so tight, and then it was so far out of reach, and now here we go again.
But with these guys up front, Farniers, he has not been up this far all day, and he was definitely one of my favorites coming into this race, and he's had a semi-quiet night. He went down a lap down earlier, but Sam Nieto, he's back in it now too. The 39, where did he come from? He's up 14 spots from where he started. It's a jumbled mess, and I love it.
One thing to keep in mind as well is he's not going to get any help from Thomas George here, because Thomas George is one of only 2 cars down 2 laps. Thomas George can only gain a position on Grant Davis. Unless he wrecks out of this race, Tom Wetmore 7 laps behind Thomas George. So Thomas realistically is not going to drop any spots. He's going to finish with 2074. It is solely on Brandon Fetter Place to make up those spots. And remember, we talked about, was it George who had the tie break? So the 3 positions isn't going to do it. So 4th, 3rd, 2nd, P2 to tie him, not going to cut it. Or I guess I should say, if he gets to 3, he would have the tie break, but not enough. So he's asked to get to P2 or to win this race if Brandon Fetter Place wants to be racing in the round of 12.
Yeah, and Thomas, I mean, even if he was to drop out of the race, we're at the point where like if he gets in an accident, let's say here in a little bit, he's almost at the point where it doesn't matter. We're almost at the point where we won't get enough. There's not enough laps for him to fall any further. So it really is on better place right now.
Well, after all that, you ready for another restart? Because the lights are out on the iRacing pace car. This time by, there will be 6 laps to go. Of course, the contact with Mills drops him to P9. Now it is Agnell Phillip on 2 tires, trying to hold off a bunch of cars on 4. It includes Andrew Freenosh to the outside of the front row in 2nd. Michael Johnson hasn't led a lap tonight. He's 3rd. Nieto's 4th. Fetter Place needs some spots. He watches from P5. Green flag in the air. It's a good start for the inside. Phillip goes to the lead. Johnson through to 2nd. And Fetter Place a race high P4.
Oh boy, this is getting quite interesting with 5. It's already been, but it's getting even more interesting. 5 laps to go here. Fetter Place into the wall.
Just brushing a little bit, but he's still good. He's keeping it steady, but the battle for 2nd is where it's at now.
34 watches as Harris tries to get under him up the road, though it's Freenosh under Johnson. Not going to be able to make it stick on the bottom there. 4 laps to go at Bristol.
Nieto is going to send it down underneath Fetter Place, but Fetter Place is going to try and fight back around the outside. It's not enough right now. Thomas George, the worst he can finish is 14th. He needs to win this race, Fetter Place, and that is coming down very quickly.
Yeah, 2 laps to go this time by, and they're starting to get single filed out, and really almost all the positions are set for. Looks like Cody Harris is going to try and get that spot, but not quite yet. It's ticking time, and it's almost done here, Evan.
Running out of time, and for Agnell Phillip, that's good news. He wants to see the white flag for this race to be official. He has got it. So the defending champ came in with the most points, but he'll exit the round of 16 with an exclamation point. Final time at a turn 4. It's race win number 4. Agnell Phillip victorious at Bristol.
Wow, that was that is a race that everyone's gonna want to forget.
Unless you're Agnell Phillip.
He's even saying on the radio he didn't want to win this race that way with the internet issues and everything happening. So even he wants to forget this.
Yeah, that's why you keep it there and you keep at it and do a good job sticking with it. So well done by him.
This is one of those nights where you know Discord's going to be fun.
Oh no!
In the next hour or two.
Kevin King.
As Agnell Phillip celebrates on the front straightaway, he is your race winner in the Bristol 250. Let's take a look at your full race results tonight. They are presented by GetWetSports.com. Phillip with the win. Johnson in 2nd, with Andrew Freenosh, Brandon Fetter Place, and Sam Nieto inside of the top 5. Cody Harris, Brett Pancari, Landon Bills, Ross Cato, and Benazzi Major the top 10. A total of 9 cars finish on the lead lap in this one. Bradley Burke, Michael Araya, Grant Davis, Thomas George, Tom Wetmore through the top 15, with Eric Papadow, Matt Danson, Braden Whitaker, Sean Casto, and Ryan Dunkelberger to P20. And to round it out, Kevin King, Brandon Bowie, Sean Kalist, William Schmidt, and Eric Stanford through P26. That's a look top to bottom at your Get Wet Sports starting or finishing results, I should say. GetWetSports.com is the world's first digital content library that showcases and celebrates creators of all sizes and backgrounds, including iRacing, military gamers, and women in gaming. Getting listed is free. Find out more at GetWetSports.com and start on your content creation journey today. We'll talk with our top finishers in a moment. First, though, Dylan, an update on why Kevin King had to pull out of this race.
Yeah, Kevin actually said on the Discord that his daughter came in, was bleeding. She was cutting some apples, so she's all good. No stitches, anything like that. But he came into the Discord asking or saying, I hope I didn't do anything to affect the race. And my friend, your daughter and the apples dropped a nuclear bomb on this race.
Not only did it create a yellow, which is obviously not what Kevin King wanted, but man, did he miss a lot after that one.
That would have been a fun one.
To see some of the top talent in this series fight head to head. as always, Agno Phillip, he's got to go over to the lift. He's got to get on the roof to celebrate all those things. So let's go reverse order. And Austin Coop, let's put you with Andrew Freenage. He finishes third in this race here tonight. You're trackside with the driver of the 20.
Yeah, here with Andrew in the number 20 car. Andrew, you had a relatively uneventful night when everyone else was having a quite eventful night, but you got to kind of see it all. Tell us how you got that Elliott Sadler Esport car to third.
Yeah, started race fifth. Thought we had a decent car and just made a bad tire call. We ended up a lap down there, and yeah, I mean, we were just kind of riding, look at the chaos, and it did not disappoint. I think everybody watching got a hell of a show, and we just kept our nose clean, except for really the end there. We kind of smacked the wall and kind of lucked into a third place finish. I don't have any comment on what happened out there. We're just, we'll take what we can get and walk away with third.
More or less a bystander of all the byproduct around you from all the craziness, but when you come into a race like this and you have that tire call, obviously when you hindsight 2020, you think maybe we'll get a short run and I can save a set of tires. When you come down for that tire decision, what was kind of the play for you? Was that what you were thinking, that maybe you get a short caution after that?
Yeah, I mean, it's Bristol. Tell you the truth, I haven't been here all year, kind of running a part-time schedule. So, last time around, we had a lot more cautions, and I'll give it to everybody. We really cleaned it up, had a nice long run. So, me and my crew chief kind of talked it over. We were following trends, and we thought we'd get cautions, and just didn't play out that way. Went a lap down. We really fought hard to get the lucky dog, and yeah, that was kind of the call. We thought tires would come down to the end, having extra set, and really never paid off that way.
Yeah, you definitely fought for the lucky dog really hard, and when you're not mentioned a lot on the broadcast, it's usually a really good thing. But it's good to chat with you again, Andrew. It's been a long time since I've actually chatted with you, so enjoy. Good job on the third place finish, and unless you'd like to say anything else, nice job tonight. Yeah,
thanks so much. I just want to say thanks to Paul for spotting and crew chief. I really do appreciate it. Everybody at Elliott Sadler, all the fans, you guys for putting on this, and early birthday present, finished third, so I'm happy. And good to see you again, Austin. I'm pretty sure we've raced together. Correct me if I'm wrong with that, but it's been a while, so it's good to see you back up here.
Yeah, on the NIS nights, I think you and I, or Saturday mornings occasionally as well. So until next time for you, man, enjoy the rest of your night. So that is Andrew Varniera's number 20 car, and I'm going to toss it down. I believe, Dylan, are you with our next driver?
Yes, we can get Michael Johnson into the fray. Second place finisher here. Started 17th and quickly made your way through all of the chaos. Just take us through your thoughts on finishing in the runner-up spot. Good thoughts. Michael, you got us? Oh, his light. You Michael, we cannot hear you. You're might need to check your settings real quick, but while we wait for that, we're going to try and go to Agno Phillip. Evan, you want to grab him?
Yeah, it's been a wild night, so I can't blame anybody down trackside for being speechless, but let's move this conversation over to your race winner as Agno Phillip finds himself back in Full Throttle RealSimRacing Cup Series victory lane. Agno, congratulations on the win. Obviously, we're in a great position entering this one to advance to the round of 12. You didn't need to win to do it, but I know it means a lot for you to get another one in the back pocket.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to be back in victory lane. That's not, the way that I would have wanted to have done it. I apologize to the field for the internet issues. It's kind of tough when it's, intermittent and it's fine for a while and then it comes back. It's just hard to figure out, especially when there's nothing that looks wrong on your end. So we'll have to try to get that fixed. But, I thought overall, raced a decent race, and I was happy with the long run pace, which is the first time I think I can say that since, maybe middle of this season, maybe like June or something. So that's nice. But yeah, overall it was fun to have some of those long runs and good to get back in victory lane.
Talk us through this one for you, because you start up front, quickly get a challenge from the likes of Nieto and others. There's a total of seven different cars who lead laps tonight, and it kind of resurged right back at the end. But there was a lot of strategy involved. 2 tires here, there, 4 tires for some of the field. The second half of the race was just all over the place.
Yeah, I mean, the story for my race really was the internet troubles there for a bit, and I think the beginning, that caused a bit of an issue with Cody there as he was going by and kind of set me back further. And then on that first stop, I could have stayed up there and tried to keep going, but the way it looked, I was like, you know what, this might clear up if we go to the back and let it work out for a little bit. So I purposely went to the back of the field, and I think that kind of helped on that long run, just running slow because I was just trying not to be near anybody while the internet stuff was getting figured. I was able to really save a lot of tires there, and then start to really move up through the field. And then once we had that first stop and made up a couple spots, and then had that caution that came out, I think after we had done maybe like 40-50 laps, I knew 2 tires was going to be really fast. So, and even, it's not like these other places where you really suffer on 2 tires. So I took it, went, and then kind of in the middle of that run from about lap 210 to the finish, I was like, gosh, if another caution comes out here, I don't know if I'm staying out, if I'm coming in. I've been, I've had a couple of these races decided by those kind of like caution in the last 10 lap decisions, So made a late choice there. Landon did a really good job of kind of committing to his choice. He was able to jump me there, and then I was looking forward to trying racing it out. I didn't think I was going to be able to get by him, and it seemed like the internet connection had calmed down enough to where we could race and be fine. But clearly it wasn't quite where it needed to be there. So. It was an interesting race. I had a lot in my mind, just trying to make sure I wasn't a hazard out there. But, it was definitely some interesting wrinkles thrown in throughout the race.
It's going to be on and through to the round of 12 as you continue that quest to defend your Full Throttle RealSimRacing Cup Series Championship. And the tracks on deck: Texas, Talladega, and Charlotte. What's going to be the outlook and keys to success for you in the 94?
Yeah, well, I'm assuming the internet stuff gets itself figured out here. I will, I think Texas last year we won there, and I feel pretty good about that. I know, if Kevin shows up, he's going to be strong. Landon's going to be strong. Matt, Code, who knows if Matt's going to be there next week. I know there's a little bit of drama there, but all the guys kind of who've been racing at the front, like Michael, like Sam, like they're all going to be a threat there just because of the nature of the racing there. It's going to come down to pit strategy. Same thing with Talladega. Just you never know what's going to happen at these restrictor plate tracks. And then the Roval, it seems like those have been a little bit more wide open. Landon's been really fast on the road courses this year. So is Kevin when he's done them. And then Danson, has kind of held that banner for most of the time that I've been in the league. So none of them are. I think Texas is a decent track. Dega, I always feel like I'm running up front in these plate races, so I feel like we should be okay. But you just never know how that's going to work out. So it's going to be. I forget on our rules if this win translates to 3 points in the next round or not. But
yep.
Okay. Well, that'll be a nice little cushion there, and there's definitely been some seasons in the past couple of years. I think I've made it mostly comfortably in each of the times through to the round of 8, but this is the one that definitely makes me the most nervous in terms of things outside of your control dictating how it goes.
Well, the fun thing for us who get to watch from afar is that it happens right again in 7 days and continues all the way through. So no downtime. The round of 12 will be exciting. I know we look forward to seeing the show you guys put on. But before we let you go, anybody else you just want to say hi to?
Yeah, I'm going to say hi to my family who I know is watching. They can say I told you so, because they did say after the Road to Pro race, like, you should get that internet thing checked out. I was like, hey, but it fixed itself during the race. I'm sure it'll be fine. But it's always good to have their support. A big thanks to my colleagues at the ProPublica Guild. We're going to get ready for bargaining with the company. So, continue to support our work by going to ProPublica.org and reading all the fantastic investigative reporting our my colleagues and I do. So, and then to my partner who has always been very supportive of this. And then finally to A51 Pro and Lockdown Racing for their support through the Road to Pro season. It's been great. Hopefully we can keep the momentum rolling and maybe bring back a team championship in this league here.
There's a lot to fight for over the course of we got 7 weeks left, so it'll be a lot of fun. Agnell, as always, appreciate the time. Congratulations on the win.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
He's your race winner tonight for the Bristol Motor Speedway, Agnell Phillip, with race win number 4 of the year. Dylan, we'll go back to you. Let's try one more time, see if we can get dialed up with Michael Johnson.
Oh, I tried to move him up, and then, yeah, there we go. We got it. Michael, can you hear us? All right.
Yeah, I got you guys.
Oh, we got him. We got him. What's going on, man? So I'm not sure if you heard what we were asking originally, but let's just jump right into it. Michael Johnson, our second place finisher. Just your overall thoughts on the night.
That was a crazy race for me. I didn't have anything for Agnell there at the end. I got caught up in that mess with Danson and Michael, and that broke my front end. So I was just protecting my position at that point.
Do you feel like if you did not have that damage, you might have been able to fight with Agnell at the end?
I was going to try. It's been really hard to make a pass there on freshly newer tires there, especially with everyone moving to the top at the end of the race. But we gave it a try.
Now, of course, with the round of 12 coming up, you've qualified for it. Do you feel like those tracks are going to be 3 that maybe suit you to make it into the round of 8?
Well, Talladega is a wild card, so I just hope to come out of there with a clean car. And Roval, if I can get top 10 there and, maybe go for top 5 at Texas, then I think with that should be enough to move us on to the next round.
Yeah, Texas, of course, next weekend or next Monday, I should say. What do you feel of Texas? I know it's not everybody's favorite track, being an odd banked mile and a half, but do you feel like it's going to be about qualifying, where you get your qualifying lap, where you start that race?
Yeah, I think qualifying's going to be important there because last time I ran there, it's single file and really hard to pass, especially with one end with lower banking and the other end with higher banking. So it's pretty much turns it into one long straightaway and one turn.
Understood. Well, Michael, thank you for talking with us. Congrats on the second place finish. We'll see you at Texas.
Thank you, guys.
Well, that is the chat with all 3 of our top finishers tonight. We appreciate them giving us some time to chat post-race, and let's go right to the playoff grid because we know who's in and who's out, and look how tight things got at the very end of the race. Unfortunately, Steve Tucker, William Schmidt, Eric Papineau, and Brandon Fetterplace eliminated in the round of 16. Dylan, George and Davis in by 2 to advance and move on.
Yeah, and it's actually pretty interesting there with George and Davis just being ahead by 2 points. Fetterplace really had no more positions he could gain except to win this race, and I feel like Agnell, especially at the end, especially with his tires the way they were, no one was going to beat him, and a tie, of course, would have given George the edge over Fetterplace, but it also seems to have given the edge to Davis over George, or maybe I'm just seeing that from our graphic right now. I don't know who would have won that tiebreaker between Davis and Fetterplace. Could second have worked for him? Maybe, but Brandon can come out of it knowing that he gave it all he could. It just wasn't enough based on the problems in the first 2 races, but almost got in. Texas next week. You see everyone has been reset to just 3,000 points with the only difference from NASCAR. Yeah, you can
old
laugh
school
at me,
chase, only the bonus points from that round. So there is no William Byron 50-something point head start. Agnell Phillip, you get a great reward of 3. Listen, if you make it in by 2 or 1, those 3 are going to be real valuable. But it is a much more even playing field.
Yeah, that's going to be huge. And having 3 is going to be a lot of fun.
And we've heard some of the drivers' thoughts on, those tracks that are coming up. And we'll bring Austin Coop back into this. Austin, Texas, Talladega, Charlotte. Those are the 3 races for the round of 12, just like we'll see upcoming with the NASCAR Cup Series. What are your thoughts on those tracks?
I'll tell you what. Obviously, the one that sticks out is Talladega, but it's in the middle of those 3 races. So Texas is going to be a little bit more of a cut teeth kind of race. You got Charlotte, that could be anyone's game, and then you got Charlotte, and Charlotte's just one of those tracks you just love to go to as a driver. But at the same time, a lot to contend with. Being at 3 actually completely different tracks. So somebody's probably going to come out of each one of those a little bit more versed than another. And so it's going to be exciting. There's some really big diversity in the next 3 races for sure.
It is the only round that, according to the official schedule, has 3 different types of racetracks, with a speedway in Texas Motor Speedway, a super speedway in Talladega, and a road course in the Charlotte Motor Speedway Roval. It will be exciting as we continue to edge closer and closer to crowning a Full Throttle RealSimRacing Cup Series champion. Until next time, though, that'll do it for us here tonight from Bristol. On behalf of our entire team at RaceSpotTV, RealSimRacing, the entire group behind the scenes who puts things together, and of course for your broadcast crew tonight. For producer Joshua Lee, for Austin Coop, Dylan Coyle, and myself, Evan Pasoko, I want to thank you for tuning in, and congratulations to Agnell Phillip, a 4-time race winner this year, and the defending champ, unlike in the real world, has made it through to the round of 12. The playoffs continue, and we say let's go racing next week on Monday, September 25th for iRacing's virtual Texas Motor Speedway. That race and every race of the 2023 Full Throttle RealSimRacing Cup Series playoffs can be found exclusively here on RaceSpotTV. Till next time, good night from Thunder Valley.